On today's show, I am joined once again for part 2 with my friend Tyler Jones, talking all things Hawks post-deadline, ahead of the All-Star break, etc., and it's coming up right now.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1910 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you deeper in the night here on a Monday into Tuesday here in mid-February. And I want to encourage you at the top of the show, make us your first listen each and every day here at Locked On Hawks. Check us out and subscribe anywhere you find your podcasts. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Music, we're also on YouTube. So please like this video as you are watching it. And if you missed it, this is actually going to be part 2 of 2 with myself and Tyler Jones. Part 1 is available right now in the same podcast feed. I recommend that you begin with part 1 to have the competition in linear fashion. But here we are with part 2, and no more further delay. We'll dive right back in now, myself and Tyler Jones. All right, so let's talk about the guys, the new guys, right? So tonight LeVert was really good tonight. After he had kind of a lost game in the first game he played, he had 5 fouls, which is funny because he's a very low foul player, and he suddenly had 5 fouls, and people are like, wait, this guy fouls. I'm like, nah, he's not really a foul guy. Don't worry. Look, you and I had the same reaction. I said this earlier, but there was a lot of overreaction to the trades, I thought. It doesn't mean everybody has to like the trades. But at the same time, it was like the sky is falling, and I didn't really ever see that, especially in the short term. And I actually thought, just to plug your podcast again, I thought you and Kevin and Glenn did a good job. Kevin, I think, was lower on the deals than you and Glenn were.
Yeah.
And I think reasonably so. He explained it well as like, hey, it's more of a future concern for him. And I get it. But in the short term, my point was always like, guys, they didn't get worse in the short term. I didn't, especially unless you thought Bogey was going to come back and be Bogey in capital letters this year. They definitely didn't get worse. Like, yeah, you could say Hunter's the best player of the 3 if you want to, but they got 3 real guys back. And we've already seen that. I know you don't believe that anyway. I'm just saying, generally speaking, but they got 3 real players, and they do fit what the Hawks want. LeVert is the most on-ball guy of the 3, but Niang is the best shooter they have on the team probably now, outside of when it count. I mean, Garrison's a specialist, and Garrison's in a different category, but Niang's a real shooter. Mann, who I talked about a lot on the show yesterday, is a good player. Like, he's not perfect, but he's a good player, and LeVert's a good player too. So what'd you make of this stuff? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what was your reaction, and what have you seen so far through 2 games?
Well, it's funny. I listened to your podcast you did with
Robert
Clippers. Yeah, Robert.
Yeah.
About Terance Mann, where he's like, well, he only shoots open 3-pointers. And I when he said that, I'm like, that's all you get for the Hawks. What you mean?
That's right.
You play with Trae Young, you're going to get an open 3-pointer.
And by the way, he was 3 for 3 tonight in the game.
He makes them.
And he does. Yeah.
He's Kyle Korver to me. Like, he's basically Kyle Korver if he's just going to make every 3-pointer.
To be very clear, he is not Kyle Korver.
Well, I mean, in relation to the basketball players that he's replacing, Terance Mann might as well be Kyle Korver, at least taking open 3-pointers, because that has been a struggle. Like, the Hawks have simply not converted their open looks this season. That's why their offense is pretty wretched at the moment. But I don't know. My thing is with the trades, they traded 1 rotation player in DeAndre Hunter, and DeAndre Hunter was not a star for this team, even though he had a good season. He was having a career year. He had a good overall season. I think he established himself as a real starter in this league, but he's not a star. He is a rotation player, and the Hawks looked at their bench especially without Jalen, who Jalen's greatest gift for the Hawks is his ability to plug holes based on what you need that night, just because of his physical gifts and his versatility as a basketball player. Like, he can plug so many holes as a player where he can defend. If you need him defending out in the perimeter, he can do that. If you need him to be a rim protector, he can do that. You need him to be a ball handler, he can do that. He can make open spot up 3-pointers, roll to the rim, pass. Like, he's a complete package as a player. Losing him, the Hawks were just sunk. Like, guys, DeAndre Hunter was playing during the 8-game losing streak. Yeah. For a I'll put it this way about DeAndre Hunter. Offensively, offensively. He is a pure play finisher. He was good at that this season. He's been pretty solid at that for the last 2 years under Quin. However, that's replaceable. Like what Dyson Daniels does with the ball in his hands is both more impressive and more valuable to an NBA team than DeAndre Hunter's play finishing, because he can't create for himself and he can't create for others. He also, so like that's on the offensive end. Defensively, as a forward, DeAndre Hunter is not a good defensive player. He's pretty bad at it. Like I people like they want to beat me up over this every time I say this. Where I'm like,
no, you name checked me on the podcast. I heard you.
I'm like, guys, look, and I'll put it this way: Jalen Johnson is a good defender. He's not a great one. He's a good defender.
Yep, I agree.
DeAndre Hunter ain't close to what Jalen Johnson is defensively, and they play the same position. They play the same position when Jalen's out the game. Yeah. That's the reality. Without Jalen, DeAndre Hunter gets exposed physically on defense in a way that the Hawks could not overcome with how much money he was making, meaning the Hawks don't have options to acquire the type of basketball player to replace a Jalen Johnson. So instead, they looked at DeAndre Hunter and said, we have ready-made replacements already on the roster who can replace your production on the offensive side of the floor, whether that be Shea, whether that be Krejci, whether that be Dyson Daniels, or the guys we're getting in this trade. What we don't have is a Terance Mann on defense outside of Dyson Daniels. Terance Mann had a play. This wasn't even defense, by the way. DeAndre Hunter has never done this in his life. Terance Mann, no business getting this offensive rebound. Somehow fights his way amongst the trees to tap the ball out. Then sprints to the ball because beats taps the ball, doesn't have momentum towards the basketball, sprints to the ball and retains possession before it goes out of bounds. That's one of the greatest, that would have been the greatest play in DeAndre Hunter's career if he did that. I would have been going crazy. I would have been going crazy. Full stop. But that's winning. That's a winning play. That's what
he does make winning plays.
They need guys to make those types of plays. Caris LeVert. Full stop. Better defender. Better on-ball defender.
I saw you say that
better
today.
On-ball defender.
No, I'm not going to argue with you. No, I'm saying it's actually the two of them is a very interesting case study because a lot of it's reputation based. And look, the secret of the NBA is that your defensive reputation is what it is when you're 23, and it doesn't really change unless you're paying attention. RIP, Kobe Bryant's defense was really bad at the end of his career, and no one talked about it. That's just one example. But that's a famous example. But DeAndre Hunter was coming into the league and got the baby Kawhi stuff and all this.
Bill's as a good defender.
Correct. And look, you and I disagree slightly on his defense. I think he's better than you think he is, but he's not a capital G good defender at this point in his career, especially to your point at the floor. He's not.
Brett, but the issue is my point. It's similar issues that both Bogey and Capella had. They're not versatile. They're not versatile defenders. Capella's a one-position defender. Bogey is a one-position defender. DeAndre Hunter is a one-position defender. And these are three of your main guys in your rotation. And it was
especially when you have Trey already. And Trey's improved a lot, but he's still always somebody you have to think about when you're building your defense.
And those guys are fine in a vacuum if you have somebody like Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels who can plug so many holes, and Zachary Reese who have the size, length, athleticism to plug holes, everywhere on the floor to make those guys work on the defensive side of the floor. We can talk about the offense later, but on defensive side of the floor, but if you take a Jalen Johnson out that picture, all of a sudden these guys are massive liabilities. These guys are liabilities. Capella will put to the side, but Hunter in particular, I mean, the man, it's funny. We had this conversation on ATL 29 because we were talking about the Spurs game where DeAndre Hunter just completely gave the Spurs 4 free points. Just
It was
not.
tough.
And they made the point where it's like, well, DeAndre Hunter's not, of course they're going to involve DeAndre Hunter in the action. He's not used to doing that. That's fair. I watch Dyson Daniels do it every night.
Well, Dyson Daniels is
You know what I'm saying?
outlier.
I watch Zachary Ricochet do it every night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
19-year-old, he can do it.
And look,
respect. Zachary Ricochet standing in reach and DeAndre Hunter standing in reach, I think, are pretty similar. Somehow, Zachary Ricochet, who's 19, and if he's 200 pounds, they're lying, is able to defend the rim and be competent there and like help his team in that area. Whereas DeAndre Hunter might as well have been me guarding as the low man. Like, it's unfortunate his last game was that bad, but like that Spurs game, like he completely sold out.
It was not good, and no,
horrific. And it's not unique. It's not a one game thing with DeAndre Hunter. It's not a unique problem. This has been his issue the entirety of his career. He is Sadiq Bey defensively with better PR.
Well, he's better.
I'm sorry.
He's better than
Sadiq Bey with better PR.
Today's show is sponsored by WayFair. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little bit of TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space actually helped me getting back into a routine after the holidays early in the year, whether it's tidying up, clearing out, or just want to give your space a new look and start the year. WayFair has everything that you need, all within your budget as well. I've been looking for furniture in recent days, and their huge selection makes it really easy to find pieces that fit my style and my budget at the same time. That's a great combination, of course. Personally, my thing with WayFair that's my favorite thing personally is the free and hassle-free delivery, even for the larger items. That's huge for me. I'm gone a lot. It's not always easy to have things delivered to my place, but it's very hassle-free and easy and free when it comes to WayFair. The website is also easy to navigate at WayFair as well. Find anything you actually need in no time. And there's something for everyone and every style and every home, no matter what your space or your budget happens to be. WayFair makes it easy to tackle your New Year's home goals with endless inspiration for every single space. Give your home a refresh it needs right now at WayFair, and the place to go is wayfair.com. Head there right now. That is WAYFAIR.com, wayfair.com. WayFair, every style, every home. I think you and I are closer on this than people will probably think we are. But I do think, go back to what I said about reputation. Look, I did some radio hits and some stuff after because that's what happens when you make a trade, and people were talking about defense right away. And I'm like, guys, it's an offensive loss if anything, because Hunter's offense was actually good this year. He shot the heck out of the ball. He was really good on offense. But yeah, and I brought up the reputation thing because Caris LeVert early in his career, and look, I watched him at Michigan too as a Michigan fan. He was a bad defender, like bad, and Caris LeVert's now pretty good defensively, and he has been for like 3 or 4 years now. People don't really know that, so it's like they kind of go on the other way. I don't know if Caris LeVert's like better than DeAndre Hunter overall, but he's not a lot worse.
Sorry, bro. I saw Caris LeVert sky for multiple contested rebounds. DeAndre Hunter's never done that in his career.
Well, okay. And regardless, that's where we are. So, and LeVert does have the creation ability. Like we've already seen this, and it's a one-off. But like the Hawks have not played Keaton Wallace in these last 2 games, which I think is the right decision. And it's because they now have 4 guys who have played some form of point guard in their career other than Trae Young. Dyson, Caris, Terance Mann, who played some point guard in LA, and Veet. All 4 of those guys, they're not point guards per se. Dyson's kind of close to one when he wants to be, but like they can all handle the ball. So if you're playing 2 or 3 of those guys together, you're okay there. It's not ideal offensively. I think everyone will probably understand that, but like personally, I think you said this exactly. These guys are so much better than Keaton Wallace, and I like Keaton. And they're so much better than Keaton Wallace.
It don't mean to be too hard on Keaton on that. Like
it's not Keaton's fault at all.
Keaton is absolutely good for what he is. But the Hawks were asking him to be a 7th man on a playoff team.
Right, which
is not what Keaton is, and probably
he's done to be very clear, he's done a great job in the role he was in. He was signed to be a 2-way contract, and he has been the best version of a 2-way contract. I always say this: there are 2 guys with 2-way contracts. There are guys who if you have to play them right now, it's great to have them around. He is the perfect version of that kind of 2-way contract, where it's like, hey, we can put you in the lineup for 10 games and you won't kill us on a team that's trying to win. That's a huge success, on a 2-way contract. And then there's the Dom Barlow version, where Dom is like a developmental guy, and Dom got real ceiling in the future. and he's young, and they're kind of different players. But man, Keaton, that's been a home run. It's not his fault at all. But he's not Caris LeVert and Terance Mann talent-wise. He's just not. They're bigger and more talented than he is. So,
and like, just to get on the point, like, to me, regardless of how you feel about Hunter, like, he's not so much. If you think Hunter is better, he's not objectionably so much better than Caris LeVert, George Niang, and Terance Mann.
Yeah.
Which is basically what the trade. It was basically Hunter, Bogey for those three guys. We'll talk about Bogey a bit more, but I want to lean in on the Hunter stuff, just because I think it's important that people understand that the Hawks would have been jumping for joy if they were able to do this before the season started. Like, if they full stop, guys, and like, for however good you think DeAndre Hunter is, if he was that good, if DeAndre Hunter was as good as everybody was telling me, like, oh, how come? Like, if DeAndre Hunter was that good, Hawks would have got a first round pick for him. There would have been more than just one team.
There was one team, yeah,
asking to trade for DeAndre Hunter. That one team has the ecosystem to actually get the best out of DeAndre Hunter on both sides of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least as long as he's playing the small forward position. They try to put him in Niang's spot, the power forward, they're going to be in for a rude awakening, Brad, by the way, for another day.
Yeah.
But like, just I need people to understand something. The Hawks had already drafted his replacement. They've been looking to trade him for multiple seasons now. And DeAndre Hunter, you look at his player sheet, this is the first time, this is really between his second year, the 1 month he had last year, and the 3 months he had this year. Those are the only times he's been a productive NBA player. Like, and his market value reflected that fact, where it's like only one team was willing to give up anything of value, and the only thing of value they gave up was second round picks. You know, they traded two guys that they already had replacements for on their roster, or were going to replace with Hunter for Niang straight up, and like a bunch of filler picks. And so the Hawks, I think, smartly looked at the landscape of what they could get in this offseason. At this trade deadline, combined with what they could potentially do in the offseason now that they've gotten away from having so much long-term money put in a guy like DeAndre Hunter, who just didn't fit what the Hawks want to do on either end of the floor from their forward room. They need more. David Lee on Twitter has put it pretty succinctly. For all as good as DeAndre Hunter's been, he's still not the player the Hawks need on offense or defense, and that's just the reality. And they're paying him as if he is that player. And so the Hawks looked at it and they were like, we can get better fitting pieces, and we can get out off his money. We can't let, because ideally for what Hunter's done, you would have gotten the first round pick. But you can only get that if there's a competitive market. That's why the Hawks weren't able to get Brandon Ingram. Because the credit to the Pelicans GM, he found another team that upped the ante, and the Hawks weren't willing to bid on.
Yep.
Like, after they put in a real first round pick, Hawks were like, we're good. Like, because like that would have been an upgrade. And so then the Hawks pivoted. Yeah. The Hawks pivoted to like, okay, we can't get Ingram. How about we fill out this roster? We get a some more variance here. Get some more guys. Caris LeVert, George Niang, Terance Mann. 3 guys who are comfortable putting the ball in their hands, comfortable making plays, comfortable on both sides of the floor. Even Niang defensively, like executing the scheme in Niang's case. The other 2 guys are actually pretty good defenders. Why not do that to improve the team? Because forget what people thought when the Hawks were like, oh, they're tanking because they traded Hunter.
So it never worked.
Stop.
That's so stupid.
Stop, please. Like Hunter had already. You guys have already seen the downturn of him when he wasn't making every shot.
Well, and we can move on from Hunter, but it's like, it's also telling what they got back. Beyond, and I get it. Like, not everyone is like us that's doubting all the time. I get that, but like the combination of the Hawks not having their own pick and also getting 3 clear rotation players back, like, is the absolute opposite of a tanking move. It's just like dumbest framing.
I just think people haven't updated their priors on LeVert and Niang.
Well,
Even though Niang's been consistently good for.
Well, and Niang is a guy that, like, and honestly, I've already seen it in my mentions too. It's the way he looks. Honestly, like, people don't like the way. I know he's a good player. I'm just saying, I've already gotten to, like, look at this guy. I'm like, yeah, I understand he's not like a flashy player, but, like, he can shoot and he knows how to play. He's a good passer. All this, and LeVert's a good player, and Mann's a good player.
He's a good rebounder. Yes,
he's physical. He knows where to be. So there's all of that. Today's show is sponsored by OpenPhone. Running a small business means you're actually wearing a lot of different hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone, and before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number, and that is where OpenPhone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate via your phone. For just $15 a month, which is the cost of just a few coffees, you can actually get a complete transparency and visibility and everything happening with your business phone number at one time. OpenPhone works through your app on your phone or your computer, integrates with the tools like HubSpot and hundreds of other teams that you're actually using. It's also using an AI-powered call transcripts and summaries as well, so you actually have a rundown of your calls and action items the second that you hang up on those phone calls. And if you miss a call, that's no problem as well. They have automated messages that are sent directly to your customer, ensuring that you actually never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is also offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/lockedonnba. That is OpenPhone, OpenPhone, openphone.com/lockedonnba for 20% off your first 6 months. OpenPhone.com/lockedonnba. If you have existing numbers, by the way, with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. Check it out now at openphone.com/lockedonnba. The bogey thing is notable. Like, I will always, I want to get to that because I do think that, I don't like that transaction in a vacuum, because you shouldn't be giving up 3, even if they're bad picks, and they probably are, to get off Bogey's contract to take Mann, who's, I think, a good player, but Mann's on a shaky contract. It's not a great contract moving forward, but
I don't know, Brad. Man plays like
no, he's been good.
Man keeps playing like he has these first 2 games. That's a great contract. But
I agree.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
it's mostly. Here's my read. This is now in the I am not reporting. This is my read only part of the podcast. It felt to me when they made this transaction that they thought they had to trade Bogey.
Yeah,
it felt to me like they just reached the end of the line. And they were like, you know what? Bogey's getting traded this week. And I heard that basically leading up, like, hey, there's like 90+% chance of getting traded. And normally, you know me, Tyler, I like to be pretty conservative with the things that I'm reporting. And I'm like, guys, he's probably getting traded this week, which means I'm hearing strongly that he's going to get traded this week. And it happened. And look, they like Mann. I talked about him a lot with Robert yesterday, but, like, the Hawks do like Terance Mann. He checks all their boxes of stuff the Hawks like, on court, off court, etc. But it did feel like, especially when you throw the picks in, by the way, Clippers did a great job in that transaction. Clippers like, hey, no, we're not. We know you want to trade Bogey. Give us picks. In fact, give us 3 picks. Again, they're kind of bad picks, but interesting transaction. I just the deal itself. But Bogey also might not ever be Bogey again. I mean, I think he's gonna be better than he's been this year, because this year's been such an outlier for him. But he's probably. I mean, if I had to guess. Because I'll ask you, is Bogey ever going to be the guy he was last season?
Like, I want to say this, Brad. Those 3 picks felt like sweeteners, because the trade basically came at the end of the day on trade deadline day.
Yes.
And sweeteners in the sense that Bogey's probably going to fail his physical, but we need you guys to accept the trade.
Which he might look,
because we cannot be in the lottery. We got to make the play-in at least. Like, or if we're in the lottery, we're like 12, 13. Like, we can't be bottoming out like we were, and we got to get rotation player for Bogey. He's making $18 million a season. We got to replace that salary slot with somebody who's going to play every night. Like, that was my read on the situation.
I think that's a reasonable read, and also given the physical thing, I don't know about the physical right now, but there was a brief moment the day after when Mann hadn't been cleared yet,
Yep.
And it was like people were calling me like, "Is Bogey was there a physical thing?" Because Mark Williams and all that stuff too.
That's where
I don't know what happened there. Might have been a minor hiccup. Bogey does have injury issues, which I'm sure they had to disclose ahead of time. Like he's not 100% full health like a young guy would be. But also, they couldn't afford, to your point, like it would have gotten really weird if that deal had gotten rescinded or something like that. Because unlike Mark Williams, who was a young guy on a cheap contract, like bringing Bogey back after all that to a locker room, like and all that would have been a little bit strange. Like Bogey's a pro. I mean, it wouldn't have been a disaster, but it would have been strange, like very, very strange. So they got it done. And look, I love Bogey. People saw the reactions. Trey talking about seeing Bogey, Bogey coming to see his son on the way out. Like everyone loves Bogey. He's a competitive guy, great Hawk. I mean, you and I are relying on this. Bogey's 2021 when they made their run is still like incredibly underrated. How good he was in that run, and last year he was incredibly good last year, and people didn't notice it because they weren't a very good team. He was awesome last season.
But I think
not anymore.
The situation with Bogey is the Hawks, because again, maybe things change. Maybe this season goes differently if Jalen doesn't get hurt, and then
maybe
they might still trade Bogey for this reason. I think the Hawks looked at it as we're doing a lot of maintenance for Bogdan Bogdanovic. But is the juice worth the squeeze anymore with him? I think for all like we're doing all this maintenance for somebody who is no longer the running mate for Trae Young full time. That's Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels took his spot. I don't think Dyson Daniels was expected to be the day one starter. I think they might have tried something else or would have been the day one guy who gets 30 plus minutes compared to Bogey only playing 20. I think the reality was the Hawks were like, even if Bogey did come back, he is a one position defender.
Yeah.
But his spot is already taken by Dyson Daniels.
Yeah, he can't defend anymore, basically, from what I've seen.
And the Hawks were like, okay, he doesn't fit this team anymore. But we're doing all this maintenance for a guy who's ultimately our eighth man now, like on the team. Like he's no longer he wasn't the sixth man. DeAndre Hunter was the sixth man, and I think the Hawks looked at it and they were like, okay, we need to get a true eighth man, which Terance Mann projects to be a guy who can fill a lot. Like Terance Mann is the quote unquote Jalen Johnson replacement. They play different positions, but they kind of fill the same gap of, okay, you need me to do this, I can do that. You need me to do play point guard on offense, I can do that for a bit. You need me to bring the ball up the floor, I can do that. You need me to defend at the point of attack, defend the secondary guy, box out. I can do all these things, whereas Bogey severely limited on the defensive side of the floor. Very hard to play him next to Trae Young already. And we're seeing more and more decline of him physically. I think the Hawks looked at it and were like, all right, it's not worth it anymore. Like, it's just not for as good as Bogey is. And I think Bogey will be able to get back to his, levels, because we just saw it in the Olympics. He was incredible.
No, he'll make shots again. I'm
not. Nobody's worried about that, but I think it was less about the shots and more about the injury concern, where the Hawks were like, because the Hawks have basically dealt with Bogey being hurt every year in his Hawks career, except really last season,
except for last year. Yep.
And the Hawks are like, well, again, Dyson Daniels is now on this team, and like we project Dyson to be 35 plus minutes. Like Dyson Daniels is going to play 40 plus minutes in the playoffs if the Hawks make the playoffs. Yeah. Like where are we going to fit Bogey? We can get Bogey level. Like we can't replace Bogey's talent, but we can replace his production. With other guys, which with Caris LeVert, we can replace him with his shooting with George Niang. I just think overall the Hawks looked at it and they're like, let's go in a different direction. There might have also been some other issues that I'm not aware about, because I'm pretty sure Bogey didn't like the managing they were doing with him.
No, I mean, by the end, again, it's semi-informed, but like I don't think it ended super well. Just like shutting Bogey's really competitive. Shutting Bogey down before the deadline probably didn't go over well, if I had to guess. Like he really wants to play.
But Brad, the reality was he was the worst player.
No, and it doesn't. It's not.
Night. It was getting them killed.
It's very defensible. It's one of those things. Like I tried to say on the immediate reaction, I was like, guys, if you actually take what Bogey was giving you this year, like all three of the guys that they got were better than him this year. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's the case moving forward, but if you just went off of this season, Bogey is the worst player of the 5 right now today. Now I think Bogey's better than that, to be very clear, in the actual overall landscape. But this season, he was getting them killed a lot of the time, like you just said. So anyway, we can move on from that.
Importantly, the Hawks had to get more production out of that spot. Like they just had to, especially without, like, they no longer had the Jalen Johnson buffer, and so they were like, okay, we can't just keep trying, hoping and praying Bogey gets back to form here.
I also think, by the way, I think LeVert gives him some stuff that Bogey did. That was more evident tonight's game. Mondays we're talking right now, when LeVert had 18 points off the bench, but LeVert used to be a 20-point scorer in Brooklyn. Like he can score. He's not Bogey as a shooter, but LeVert's a real shooter. He can shoot. He can create out the bounce. Like they got some of that replacement scoring punch that Bogey used to give them with LeVert. And that deal was done first. Like they did the Hunter deal first. So they knew they was coming in. And Mann, it's not like Mann can't score. That's not really what Mann is going to do. Probably he can make shots, but he's always been kind of low usage guy.
Well, Mann is a physical driver.
I'm not saying he can't. He can do that.
Needed guys to attack these closeouts.
That's
definitely true. In front of the rim to generate havoc.
That's definitely true.
One more thing about Bogey, I just ultimately think it was a situation where I don't think Bogey was ever healthy. I think he needs to sit for like a month plus. But the Hawks couldn't afford to sit him anymore. Like they had to play him. Yeah. And then the Hawks looked at him and they're like, we don't have the depth to not play him, but we got to get better. So he traded him to the Clippers, who are deeper, can afford for him to sit, get healthy, and hopefully get back to form. Because I'm still rooting for Bogey. I think if he can get healthy, that Clippers team is going to be super dangerous. Because he's still, like, the talent is still there. That's undeniable, but I just don't think he was healthy. Like he just looked so unexplosive the entire season. Really
I'm with you. Quick hitters before we get out of here. Trey made the All-Star team, as he should have already. So there's that.
Not after tonight against the Magic. He shouldn't have.
He was not good tonight, as we discussed earlier. But also, Chris Haynes reported that he was just the guy that had the most votes, which makes sense. That wasn't already selected. He should have already been there. We agree on that. Also, Trey was Eastern Conference Player of the Week last week and earned it. Was awesome last week. He was not that good tonight, but 31-10 last week. Game winner, have been great. So just saying that out loud. Other than that,
I'd personally rather have Tyler Hero, but go on, Brad.
Now you're trying to get me to go off on a rant. I'm not going to do it. So before we get out of here, so the Hawks have won 4 or 5 now, right? They've won 3 in a row since the deadline.
We're back.
People are back in now, which is funny. The people that were out in the season 4 days ago are now back in. But realistically, how good are they now? Like, assuming relative health, and it's something I said the day of the day, I was like, guys, they're not worse unless Trey gets hurt. If Trey gets hurt, they're in trouble. But
look, they got better in the deadline, one, because they're deeper now.
For this season.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see about these injuries that just came up, unfortunately. But like, they're deeper now. And also, they are able to put lineups out there that can support Trey offensively and defensively at the same time. They got way more shooting, just way more shooting with LeVert and Niang, and even Terance Mann. Like, honestly, Terance Mann might as well be Kyle Korver taking open 3-pointers compared to what the guys were doing before.
So tonight, it's a great example. So this is obviously pre-Capella, if Capella plays again. But same thing I said earlier about how everybody that played tonight can make a play. Everyone that played tonight can shoot.
Yep.
To some degree. Obviously, Conway is a limited shooter at this point, but he can, for a center, he's not a bad shooter. He can shoot. Mo Gay will shoot. I don't know how good of a shooter he is, but he can shoot. He will shoot, and they trust him to shoot.
Mo
Reece
needs
Shea.
to take it a little bit, take it one notch down on offense.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, their worst positional shooter is Dyson, who's so good at everything else.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, look, Dyson keeps driving like this. I don't care about his
no,
jump shot. I don't care about his
we 100% agree on that. I'm just saying, as we go down the list, like everyone they're playing now can shoot, and if Clint plays again, that will change. But he's still only be 1 out of 10 guys that can't shoot. Everybody else can shoot, so that definitely helps you. And around Trey, I mean, they've to their credit, I think they've followed through on the we're going to surround Trey with defenders thing. It has happened. It's been, right now, same exact thing I just said. They played the only guy I would say that is like not a very good defender they played tonight is Larry Nance. And that's Larry Nance at center. And it's not like he's Larry Nance is not a disastrous defender. It's just that he's not very good playing center defensively at this stage of his career. But like, if he's your worst defender other than Trey, you're doing fine. Like you got good defenders all over the place. Mann's a good defender. Veet's a decent defender. At least knows where to be. Niang is not good, but he's like not terrible positionally. Like he'll get in the way.
Veet's good defensively if you're not asking him to handle the primary guy. Like if you're asking him to be a secondary or tertiary defender, he's outstanding at that role. Which is why the Hawks got somebody like Mann, so that when Dyson goes out the floor, it's not Veet Krejci being
Mann and Dyson probably shouldn't play a ton together. They will play a little bit together, but I think it'd be a good idea, generally speaking. Like, hey, Terance, if Dyson's on the bench for 12 minutes a night, you're on the court with Dyson on the bench. That'd be what I would do if I was the Hawks, generally speaking. But even Niang, like, I understand Niang is not a great defender, like physically, but look, he's been a part of a lot of good defenses. Like, he's only so bad you can be if you were a part of like he just played in Cleveland. I know he wasn't the reason they were good defensively, but like he can function in a system and
look. The man can slide his feet, near the rim, and then he'll throw his weight around. Like, and he knows how to. And he has good time. He has good time, and he knows how to read the ball off the rim. That's why he's a decent rebounder. No, so I like to me. Look. I'm looking at the Eastern Conference.
Here we go.
The Miami Heat are who's the 6th seed right now? Detroit Pistons. Okay.
All
due respect to Detroit.
As of this moment, just for people that don't know this in front of them, the Hawks are 8th after beating the Magic tonight. They are a game and a half out of 6th, which is the Pistons. To your point, they are a half game out of 7th, which is the Heat, and they are narrowly ahead of the Magic, who are the 9th seed. The Bulls are the 10 seed, and they're 3.5 games behind.
I mean, the Bucks are hurt too now without Giannis. So the 5th.
If Giannis is out for a while, they're only 3 games behind.
Listen. The Eastern Conference has been ravaged by injuries, and
it's true.
These teams aren't that talented overall. So it's like the Hawks can get there, and they might get there. All right, Brad. We're 56 minutes in this pod. This got to be said. Dyson Daniels is going to keep playing like prime Ben Simmons out here, but better, at least on the offensive side of the floor.
By the way, a fun stat for Dyson. Dyson's played 30 minutes or more in like 23 straight games. He just plays every night, a lot of minutes. No, but he's been really good recently. To your point, offense.
These drives to the rim, these are different. He wasn't. I was complaining. I was crying and coping on ATL 29, even on your podcast. I was like, man, Dyson, if you could just because he would get to the rim and then he'd throw up some floater. I'm like, what are we doing? Like you bounce the guy back. Like
he likes floaters.
Now he's taking you don't like him as much as he used to because he's taking some layups.
Yeah, he's doing better.
He's looking to dunk the ball, Brad. Like
one of your favorite bits.
He needs to learn how to dunk. He needs to learn how to dunk, but like he's trying it now, which I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like that, I think somebody told Dyson, I'm like, yo, bro, there's no reason why you can't be an all-star in this league. We need you. Jalen's out. We need you to replace.
No, I have the numbers. So here are some numbers. People that might want these. Last 14 games. So like basically a month's worth of games for Dyson Daniels. 14 games. 16 points, 51% from the field, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Like, and I mean, so obviously that's only a month of basketball, but if he were to do that plus be a top 5 to 10 defender in the league, That's a fringe all-star player. That's what it is.
Get these bigs out of here. They don't defend. They
I mean,
just
Wemby's pretty good, but other than that,
Wemby's one of the most overrated defenders I've ever seen in my life. For somebody who's like otherworldly, his teams are pretty bad. Like I think there's something to like the physical gifts are out of this world, but like I'm talking about reading the floor. I think he's actually pretty bad at it. I've not been impressed with what he's done the first 2 years. Now he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but like I think there are I don't think he's a better defender than Anthony Davis at all. Like on Anthony Davis's worst
Interesting.
day. I don't like Evan Mobley, Jaren Jackson Jr. Like these guys.
Evan Mobley rules.
These guys read the game as well, have the physical tools. I think Wemby relies way too much physically on his gifts. That's all that to say is like Dyson Daniels ain't taking a backseat to none of these fools because they have the easy job. They just get to be big and tall around the rim. Dyson Daniels out here defending everybody 1 through 3, 1 through 4 on the perimeter, getting blocks, getting steals, cutting guys' water off. You know, guys.
No, he's been unbelievable.
Guys can't go around him. Guys can't go through him. Like Dyson's incredible, man. He should be higher up in the DPOY standings. I mean, he's taken this trash Hawks defense even before the Hawks got all these good defenders and started playing Mo Gay, which will turn the Hawks. Like if Mo Gay's consistently playing, this Hawks defense is going to skyrocket a bit more.
No, but I mean, to your point, Dyson, and we'll get out of here soon, I promise. But Dyson, we started this podcast talking about Dyson as a culture setter defensively. The Hawks, as of today, as of right now, as we record this podcast, are 13th in defense this year. The Hawks have been 23rd, 27th, 26th, however you want to say it.
Brad, they're going to be top 10.
They're 13th in defense right now.
They're going to be top 10. They're going to be, by the end of the season, they're going to be top 10. Which,
yeah, I mean, so, and look, if you look at the on-off splits, like I won't do it now. If you were to take off the Roddy minutes, for instance, it gets pretty solid in a hurry. So yeah, Dyson's been incredible. I think that he should be in most improved player discussions. He's not really been in those discussions, but he should be.
He should be the leading candidate. He's I don't know how most improved works if Cade Cunningham's going to win most improved, Brad.
Yeah,
Cade Cunningham's going to win most improved. Just cancel the award.
I really like Cade.
Cancel the award.
No, I really like. Just say this out loud. I really like Cade. I don't understand the most improved player. I mean, Ja won it too. Like, what is the point? I don't understand what the point is.
The award. I mean, Kobe White was at least like
that was a real
acceptable winner. But like didn't Tyrese Maxey win it after averaging 20 points this season?
Yeah. So the last 4 years of most improved player. Actually, wait. Only like fringe stars win this award. It's hilarious. Maxey, Lauri Markkanen, John Morant are the last 3 winners.
All right, Lauri
before that
went from like
that was
granted,
fine.
Lauri's like DeAndre Hunter, pure coach merchant. Like
before that, Julius Randle won at age 26.
Julius Randle's made multiple all NBA teams.
Yeah. Anyway, we're off the rails, but we agree Dyson's been awesome this year.
Guys. Dyson Daniels is going to make an all-star team. He plays like this.
Would not surprise me. He's been awesome this year. And I got in trouble. I don't really know. I don't think it was controversial. People were really mad at me. Dyson's just better than DeJounte Murray already.
That's controversial?
Sorry. Apparently, I said it the other day. People got mad at me.
God, everything. You can't say DeAndre Hunter is not good. All of a sudden, people are like, how dare you?
It was more that.
How dare you?
Also,
DeAndre Hunter, the superstar of the Hawks, because he can make an open three-pointer. Oh my God!
I was also and look, I'm not. And people talking. I was like, it was not a shot at DeJounte. It was a Dyson is awesome, and DeJounte Murray's had a terrible season. I mean, unfortunately, he's been hurt. I don't want him to be hurt, obviously, but he was not good when he was playing in New Orleans this year. So like, I think he's better than that long term. But Dyson,
so like DeJounte
really
Murray's
good.
DeJounte Murray's best seasons of his career came in Atlanta. By the way, people.
That's true.
Like objectively, and Dyson Daniels just flat out better this season. Like it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like, Dyson Daniels going to be an all defensive team, and like I said, Ben Simmons with his head on straight, like
that was the one.
He'll take the open 3-pointer. But like this dude, like he's just coming down the like.
He's very good.
He's kind of replacing what Jalen Johnson gave. Hold on.
This is the 1 hour mark.
I said that quietly.
You did. That's okay. Jalen, and look, they still, boy.
I love Jalen. I love Jalen, but like the way you talk about the way the org talks about Jalen, I'm like, y'all.
No, I mean, you and I talked about it. I've passed this. They really like Jalen. Jalen's very good.
I can't talk about it. I can't talk about what I said. Y'all seen me what I suggest on Blue Sky. I mean,
Blue Sky is unvarnished.
They don't. People don't want to be heroes. People don't want to take risks.
All right, let's get out of here. Tyler, thank you for doing this. It's late. I appreciate you spending some time on the show. Please go ahead and give your recommendations. That I'm sure you have something to recommend to the people. And if not, people should be listening to you, following you, etc.
Yeah. So my biggest rec currently is Zenshu, ZNSHU on Crunchyroll. Isekai, but it's a I don't want to spoil too much, but I do enjoy that it's from the woman's perspective for one, and also it's not really an isekai too. That's the other thing, but like you'd have to watch it to understand what I mean by that point. But like it's just a great show, and it's what I'm like locked in on. And then Ishura on Hulu, like, or I think it's Ishura season 2. Like I'm pretty sure I gave a rec about that a couple years ago. Season 2's out. It's battle royale greatness. Like it's the formula works, guys. Battle royale is just a great formula for an anime, and this is one of the best I've seen. So like give that a watch as well on Hulu. But those are my 2 recs. And you can follow me on Blue Sky at see, he's got my wrong tagline. He's got Jonesy2x4. I don't know who that is. It's and not C2x4 on Blue Sky. I don't want to promote that other thing that's going on.
Sorry, it's there. Yeah, you only got on Twitter. I've noticed when you're angry about the Hawks.
Oh yeah. That wrestling.
That wrestling talk. But no, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully people will check out ATL 29. Like I said, I'm an every show listener to ATL 29. I really enjoy the back and forth, especially when I can just hear Kevin and being Kevin. It's just great. I spent a lot of time with Kevin. Kevin and I sit next to each other at home games, and we have fun too. I think he just tunes me out though. It's like I'm just the guy to his left that makes noise in his ear during games. But anyway, thank you, sir.
I felt like we were bullying him about DeAndre Hunter. I didn't mean to do that.
A little bit, but he got us back up. It was good. I enjoyed it. Listen to that conversation at 8129. As for everybody else, please do also listen to this show. Subscribe to this show. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. Follow Tyler on Blue Sky only, he says. And then also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at BT Rowland, also patreon.com/BT Rowland. And we'll have a show at the very least after the game on Wednesday. So we'll see you all next time.